Hello and welcome to Classic Motorsport Podcast. I'm Gareth Thomas. Today we're looking at the 10 best Daytona 500s. It is the Daytona 500 this Sunday. Thought we'll look back at 10 of the best. So, it starts off with 1990 with the Daytona 500. Ken Schrader took pole but crashed basically during the week and had to use a backup car. So he was having to start from the back. Another story during that race was Darrell. At one point had a 40-second lead and was pulling away from the field without being towed by another car. And there was several incidents obviously, but most notably at lap 193 when Jeff Bodine spun. And basically when the race restarted, it was Derrike leading, and somehow Earnhardt managed to get past him from third to first. And then on the final lap, Rick Wilson's Waymark car blew a bowels in, and that went on the backstretch. Earnhardt went over it, causing him to have a puncture immediately. Coupe went through into the lead and won the race, with Labonte second and A at third. Earnhardt had a 5th place finish, but that type of motivation led him to the Winston Cup title later that fall, as his pit crew put the rear tyre in the factory so that they could be further motivated to win the title. 1 year before, in 1989, which is our 9th pick, basically it was about trying to make pit stops, and it was Ken Schrader on pole, and everybody thought that it'd be between Schrader and Darrell Earnhardt. But unbelievably, Darrell Waltrip snookered everyone when his crew chief, Jeff Hammond, decided to use fuel strategy, with basically 10 laps to go. Waltrip was second behind Derrike, trying to stay in the draft and save fuel, having been ordered to save as much fuel as he could throughout this stint. And then when Derrike dropped back, it led to, unbelievably, Waltrip staying out and on fumes on the final lap when he came to victory. And basically he was still in disbelief when he came to be interviewed, Waltrip was. And it was the second win for Hendrick Motorsports. Our third pick is 1991, and it had Pearson on the pole, with Darrell Earnhardt taking the lead early, but on the backstretch Earnhardt won over a seagull, affecting the car's water temperature at one point to 240 degrees F or 116 degrees C. But there were so many yellows that Earnhardt managed to get his pit crew to do emergency repairs throughout the yellows. But there was a stupid amount of rules in 1991 which caused so much confusion, but it was done for safety, because in the November of 1990 a Marin Racing pit crew member was killed, and there were several other injuries that season. Cars in odd number positions and even number positions had to pit, and vice versa. And teams considered it too consuming. And eventually the rules were changed by April, so thankfully it was. And then obviously by late in the race Earnhardt was leading in a beat up race car, and somehow Ernie Irvan got past and Earnhardt was side by side with Pearson, and then the pair collided with Carl Petty on the backstretch, and Irvan drove to victory lane. And that led to Irvan's only 500 victory. Now, for the number 7 pick, we've got to go way back to a very underrated 500 by many, the 1976 Daytona 500. It was held on the same day as the Olympics, so ABC, who were broadcasting it, decided to show live coverage of the opening half hour of the race before switching to a 2-hour Olympic programme before switching back to Daytona for the final hour or so of the race. Whoever's idea it was needed to be sacked because everyone wanted to see the 500 in full. But it was a battle royale between David Pearson, the Silver Fox, and Richard Petty, the King. And on the final lap, the pair collided after the final corner. They were still spinning with a few hundred feet to go. Pearson restarted his Wood Brothers Ford and won the race. Petty managed to get a push start into second. Obviously that got some confusion at the time whether it was legal or illegal. Obviously. But then number 6 pick is 1997. The first race at Daytona for the Hendrick team after their boss got leukemia. And late in the race, it was Bill Elliott leading Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Ernie Irvan and the Hendrick cars. Then Earnhardt got spun around by Jarrett and in turn collected Irvan with Irvan's roof going into the grandstands. Earnhardt flipped, but restarted the car, and then Elliott was leading deep in the race when he got when the Hendrick teams decided to snooker him and get past him, with Jeff Gordon leading and taking his first of 3 500 victories. Gordon will later become champion at the end of the year. My number 5 pick is the 2003 Daytona 500 from Michael Waltrip. Everyone was racing against the weather on this day. Everyone was considering whether to short fuel or fuel to the next stint in case of weather. The first red flag came early, but it caused problems for Dale Earnhardt Jr., whose team could not start the car up, so they had to bump start it, and then his battery went in the middle of the race, causing him to go down 2 laps. On one of the restarts, which Junior started from the low groove, Michael Waltrip passed race leader Jimmy Johnson and took the lead, but a red flag was out for a second time, once again because of rain. Unfortunately, they could not restart it and Waltrip was declared the winner. My number 4 pick is the following year's Daytona 500 in 2004, which Dale Earnhardt Jr. won. He dominated most of the speed weeks, and he wanted to prove to everyone that he can still win the 500. His late father, Dale Earnhardt Sr., won it in 1998, and Dale Jr. wanted to get a victory then. Jr. had been leading the British Series race until it was red flagged, and they were going to restart it on a Monday, which Junior did win, and wanted to make it successful, and he did. And his victory proved really popular. The first race under the chase format, which Junior would finish second or third behind Kurt Busch in the championship, but Junior did get the 500. The number 3 pick was the most infamous one of the Daytona 500s, 1979. It was basically guys like Bobby Ass and Kerry Arbro and Bobby's brother Donnie were batting for the lead when they all went into the mud. They were like 2-3 laps down. Unfortunately, the wet weather caused them to basically be stuck in the mud, and the opening 10 laps of the race was done at the yellow, and it was the only laps Buddy Baker would lead. And basically, with 10 laps to go, it was Donny Harrison leading Cale Yarborough, and then on the final lap, Cale did one of his slingshot moves, only for Harrison to move down low, forcing the pair to collide. Richard Petty was in turn 1 when the accident happened, and was leading Darrell, Waltrip and AJ Foyt. Petty led Waltrip and Foyt back to the line. After the race, a fist fight happened between the two Harrison brothers and Yarborough, and each were fined for their punch-ups. Number 2, obviously one of the best days in NASCAR history, 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration, the race that Dale Earnhardt finally won the 500. Earnhardt had the best car throughout the race, and he was the man to beat, fending off guys from Bobby Labonte, Jeremy Mayfield, Rusty Wallace, and add several more names to the mix. And basically, when John Andretti spun out at turn 2, they raced back to the yellow, and there was no green-white checker rules at the time, so Earnhardt was able to use Whitmast as a pick and fended off Mayfield and Bobby Labonte back to the line. My number 1 pick is a more recent one, 2014. Started off at daytime, and I do remember it well. Only 38-39 laps were completed in dry, and then rain came, 6 hours 42 minutes. I sneakily got up around just before 1 AM, that's when the race got restarted, when 12:45, and I was up till 10 to 4 in the morning watching the race. Quite a lot of incidents, and it mostly showed Dale Earnhardt Jr. being back at his best, having spent several years struggling to be at the best. But Junior was able to prove a lot of fans and a lot of drivers and a lot of broadcasters wrong. The first race under the revised chase format, where win a race, you're almost certainly going to be in the chase. And Junior did win the 500 in a season that Kevin Harvick won his first title. And those are my top 10 picks. I hope you enjoyed my picks. Thank you for listening. Remember, like, share and subscribe for more great content. I'm Gareth Thomas. Thank you for watching or for listening. Goodbye.